All right, everyone, welcome. Come on in. Everyone's trickling in slowly. I see the numbers going up, which is awesome. I'm so happy you all here. We have another sponsor webinar today, and today we are here with Danica Favorite from PublishDrive, who are a really amazing sponsor. They do really cool things, helping authors out with all the things that you don't want to skimp when you do your setting up and everything. And Danica is going to talk a lot more about it. She has a lot of information for us on exactly what they do, and I'm excited to find out. I just want to make sure that everybody who comes in knows that we're going to have 15 minutes at the end of the presentation for Danica to field questions from you, and we really would appreciate it if you would put those questions in the Q&A box. Sometimes they get lost in the chat, and I just don't want her to miss any of your questions. So just please make sure that you do that, and I will be reminding you throughout the presentation to make sure to do that when you have a question. So I'm going to introduce you to Danica really quickly, and then I'm going to send it off to her so she can start her presentation. Danica Favorite is the community manager at PublishDrive, where she helps authors maximize their sales and reach readers worldwide with innovative AI-powered tools. An author herself, she understands the challenges writers face and blends that experience with practical industry insights. She also offers coaching to help people reclaim their power and embrace new chapters in life. Danica co-hosts Brave New Bookshelf, a podcast exploring AI, creativity, and the future of publishing. Sounds really cool. I like that idea. Thanks so much for being here, Danica. I really appreciate you and PublishDrive and us sponsoring us this year. And I'm going to send it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm really excited to be here. I love the Women in Publishing group and getting to talk to all of you and spend time with you. I met some of you at some of the networking events, so hopefully some of you I know might be here. Yeah, so I'm very excited to be here, and I really enjoy um, being with this group. Like I said, I think it's really important, particularly as women in publishing. I was just talking with a friend of mine about this, that, as women entrepreneurs, I think that it's really good for us to connect together as a community. So I'm sharing my presentation with you really about maximizing what you're making from your books. I think a lot of authors end up leaving money on the table, or perhaps not getting the most benefit out of what they're doing. And so um, I pulled out an older presentation and updated it a little bit, because I was just at the Author Nation conference. I don't know if any of you were there, but it reminded me that the part of our brand promise and who we are as a brand is this idea of empowering the love of storytelling. Because I personally believe that everyone has a valuable story to tell, and your stories all matter. So for us as PublishDrive, and why I really enjoy working with them and appreciate their mission, is that this is what we want to do for authors. We want to empower you to tell the best story that you can, and get it out to the widest audience possible. But also, as I'm going to be talking to you about today, it's also really important for us to help you maximize the business side of it. I think, I don't know about you, but I didn't become an author because I wanted to run my own business. I became an author because I wanted to write books. And as many of you know, the author entrepreneur path is a lot of business stuff. So we try to take care of that business stuff for you so that you have more time to do the things you like and love, like writing the books. So, um, yeah, so this is a little about me. I am a multi-published author. I forgot to update my bio. I did just have another book come out last month. It's part of a novella collection. And I also don't know that that 27 number is correct either. It's actually probably higher. So I should update that at some point. But I am a hybrid author. My books are both traditionally and independently published. So I have worked um, as an indie author, but I have also worked with a major publisher. I have, I think, 18 books with them. And I also work as an author coach. I've worked with multiple authors on their publishing journeys. I'm really passionate about helping authors and helping you all do what you can to get that out to the world. I used to work for Harlequin, and I helped a lot of aspiring authors get published through Harlequin. So just a few people, some testimonials about PublishDrive. Quinn Loftus has talked about us making um, her life easier and grow their business. And Samuel Panonsky from J Novel Club talks about that we're a bigger representative on the market, which fights for the publisher. So Quinn is an author and Samuel is a publisher. So some of you might be authors, some of you might be publishers. We can help everyone. And the other thing that I wanted to share that is not on the slide, but hopefully you can all recognize is for those of you who provide services for authors, maybe you help people publish their books. We do have a program for affiliates. So if you have customers you want to refer to us, let me know that because we can get you set up with some affiliates. And this is, again, part of our brand process, our brand promise. There we go. We don't just write the code, we change the narrative. And we want to be part of every part of your journey so that we can help you scale on all kinds of levels. Depending on where you need that service and that assistance. And we provide clarity in every chapter. The biggest thing that we do as PublishDrive that is different from a lot of distributors is that we are a subscription-based program. And so what that means is you know exactly every month what your distribution cost is going to be. A lot of other providers are going to charge you a percentage of everything you make. And so there's hidden commissions, retained revenues. We don't do that. What you pay is what you pay. That is the cost of your subscription. And so for those of you who are on the financial end of your business, you know that this is rather than it being a fluctuating cost, depending on how much you make and taking a percent of your profits, this is a fixed cost that is never going to fluctuate. You know exactly what it's going to cost you every month to publish your books. And we make the customers the hero of our story. We want to be a partner with you in every part of your journey and in any way we can. So those are our values as a company and what's important to us as PublishDrive. And so this is how we accelerate your success with industry-leading solutions. And I'm going to talk about all of these different pieces as we go through it. So we have a whole ecosystem for publishing. The main bread and butter of our business and the main thing that we help authors with is our global distribution and getting you to the widest market possible. And that's where, again, that flat fee comes in. As part of our global distribution, we have sales analytics, book promotions, format converters, and an Amazon ads manager. And then a second piece of our business, which is a separate fee from distribution, is our AI assistant. We can help you generate your metadata and maximize the metadata for your book descriptions. Again, we'll talk about this. We have some AI audiobook generation, which is part of our distribution. So I should have moved that circle over. It's fine. And AI cover design. And I do want to make a clarifying point on the AI, which we will talk more in detail when we get to that point of the presentation. But these pieces are your choice. If you don't want to use AI, you do not have to. Um, so it is your choice whether or not AI is used in any part of the process. And if you do choose to use AI, we do not use any of your data. Even if you're not choosing to use AI and you've uploaded our book to our system, your data is safe with us. We are not using it to train AI. We are not going to train any AI on your data. It is your data, and it's really important for us to make that very clear to everybody who is looking at PublishDrive. The other piece of our business is our Abacus royalty splitting. And again, that's a separate charge if you use it or not. The great thing is Abacus, the AI assistant, and global distribution. Those are all things that you can use one or all of the pieces. That's why the three pieces are separate fees, because if you don't want to use one of them, you don't have to, and you're also not being charged for that. So really important for us to be transparent there. So our publishing assistant and abacus, again, I will talk more about publishing assistant, these both. But our publishing assistant takes the guesswork out of publishing. And abacus, again, is going to automate that math for you, help you split the royalties and share those with people. And for us, this is also important for us to know if you're wide or KBP Select, or even if you're using another platform for distribution, you can still use the Publishing Assistant and Abacus, um, and use them wherever you want. This is your data, your information, and your publishing business. And I love this quote from Bo Loftus about what we're doing. When you're selling 5,000 books a month at 10% versus a flat fee of $100, that's sort of a no brainer. We can use PublishDrive, save a ton of money, and still reach the same audience and actually a bigger audience, which is awesome too. When I first heard about that, I almost thought it was too good to be true. And again, like, that is part of our transparency and part of the financial advantage. And just so you know, that flat fee of $100, that is for someone who's selling that 5,000 books a month rate. I mean, that's for someone who's got a much bigger audience. Not everyone is paying $100 a month. We do have the transparent pricing right on our website, which again, for distribution, you all will get 20% off. And so let's talk about our distribution and why this is so important. So we are wide, as I mentioned, for our distribution. You can publish your titles to the largest global selection of stores and libraries. We have over 400 stores, 240,000 libraries, 100 different countries. Um, and as you see here on the slide, we have all of these different stores. We can get you into the big stores like Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Apple, Kobo, Google Play, and then a lot of other smaller stores as well. And one of our new partners that I do want to highlight is we just signed a partnership deal with 11 Reader. 11 Reader is an audio book platform, and what is very exciting about 11 Reader is they're owned by, it's the distribution platform of 11 Labs. So for those of you who are curious about, well, do I want an audiobook or not? You upload your ebook and you select the 11 Reader distribution, and 11 Labs automatically turns that into an audiobook to be distributed on 11 Reader. So if you're curious, well, how will this do on audio? This is a really quick and easy way to test which books are going to do well on audio. It is AI audio. And again, it is optional to turn on that store. So if you do not want to use AI audio, just turn off 11 Reader, and or don't turn it on, I should say, because it is an opt-in program. We also have a similar situation with Apple Audio and the Apple AI audio program. Again, optional. If it's something you want to choose for your business, just turn on that store and we can help you get to those markets. So here is everything you get with our distribution, and it is a lot. So as I mentioned, I told you about all the stores and all the places we can get to. Um, First of all, but here are the other things that are included in our distribution product. First, we have a free ebook converter, which will convert your books from a docx file into EPUB and MOBI files. This is actually free to anyone. You don't have to use any of our products. You can just go to our website. If you want a free ebook conversion, boom, put that in. It'll convert your ebook. Again, we don't do anything with your ebook or that data. All it does is convert it for you to download and use for your own personal use. We don't do anything with it. We do have Amazon advertising integrated into our platform. So if you want to run your Amazon ads, you can do that right within the PublishDrive platform, which again, very convenient. Part of what is important to us with PublishDrive is having that one dashboard to do everything from that one spot. Because I don't know about you guys, but my brain can only hold so many logins and passwords. Am I right? Like handling all those different dashboards. A lot of people will say that their strategy is they go direct to Apple, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Kobo, Google Play, all of that. Because if you are using someone who's going to take 10% of your sales, that costs you a lot of money. And so in your mind, it's less expensive to go direct to those stores rather than putting it through an aggregator because you're going to save a lot of money. And what I say to that is, why do that when you can use PublishDrive? Because it's one fee no matter how many stores you use. If you use one store or all of our stores, it is the same price and it's never going to change based on your sales. So if you're running Amazon through PublishDrive, you could do your Amazon ads right through PublishDrive, and then you don't have to worry about going through your Amazon dashboard and dealing with Amazon and all of that. You're doing it all in one place, not having to go back and forth between different places. For those of you who have large catalogs, we have a bulk import feature. And um, we can help you upload a bunch of your titles all at once and start processing them without having to upload every single book, which can take a lot of time. We also have a print on demand converter. So again, if you're trying to convert that ebook into a print book, we have a converter that can do that for you. Also with our distribution product, this is not going to be available to people on like the free tier or anything, but we do have sales events where you can put your book in. Let's just pretend Apple is having a Christmas in July sale, and they say, hey, do you have anyone that would be able to do that? So then we would send out a message to our customers, but also put it in your dashboard to say, hey, here are the sales events available. One of them is this Christmas in July sale. If your book qualifies, here's the information, apply for the sale. And so it's really great because we have these available through a lot of our different stores who run these different sales. Our sales analytics is really great because you can log in and see those visual charts, generate your reports, see which countries your books are doing best in, which formats are doing best, etc. And really a great way to make data-driven decisions about your business. When I was at um, Author Nation, I gave I gave a talk about this, about, when you're trying to figure out which stores, which books you want to convert into audio or which books you want to do translations in, how do you know? Well, if you've got good data and you can look at your data to see which books are selling the best, which books are selling where, you can prioritize your more popular titles over your other titles. We also do price promotions. So if you've got a price promotion for your title, let's just say you're doing a book bub or something like that, all in one dashboard, you can immediately change the price to reflect your book bub, which is great because, again, if you're running multiple dashboards, you've got to go into each and every one of those dashboards to do it. Whereas with PublishDrive, you just do it from one. You can also do review copies for Apple Books or Google Play Books to send them to your friends and influencers. And then if you have collaborators or author assistants, we have the ability to do the shared accounts. And as this quote from author Lauren Smith says, when she submits our information to PublishDrive, we get it to where it needs to be. And it's one place where you have to upload and update all of your information. And so that's what our distribution product is like. And that is what the advantage of using PublishDrive to get your books to all those different stores. So our next tool is our publishing assistant. Um, and again, this is an AI tool. You harness the power of AI for greater efficiency and improve book discoverability. We have the metadata or cover design, the AI tool. There we go. That was the word. And it's, again, important to note that our publishing assistant isn't going to replace like your creative writing process. I know authors are worried about that. But what I like about the publishing assistant is metadata is so difficult for authors. And I have done many, many talks on this particular topic because as someone who's been in publishing for 25 years, I started when I was an infant, of course. Um, One of the biggest mistakes I see authors making is using the wrong metadata. I think I actually did tell the story on a webinar or something with Alexa that, I had someone who didn't understand why their vampire novel wasn't selling, but it didn't say vampire anywhere in the book description, the book title, the metadata, anywhere. And I said, well, why does it say that? And she says, well, it's assumed. You have to, like, people are smart enough to figure it out. And I told her, I said, That's really interesting because some of the metadata is actually, yes, it is to get the readers in and to attract the readers, but it is also for the bots and for SEO and for the searching. And a search engine can't assume what your book description is about. You have to flat out tell it. And so, what this does is you upload your book and it analyzes your book based on Amazon data of what is selling now. It's not, I think this is popular. I think this is a good topic. I think this is the metadata I want. I think this description is good. This is the metadata that's selling on Amazon, and this is the metadata we see in your book. And therefore, these are the things that we want to pull out. If you're a lot of authors, I think, don't realize what their book is actually about. They think they know what their book is about, but they don't. And I say this as a romance writer, my books often kind of are on the line between romance and women's fiction. And I know this. And I'm actually going to lean more into myself as a women's fiction author. But sometimes it is really hard to say, okay, so what's really in my book? And this is telling you what's really in your book. Um, So I really like that. And so what we do is, it's going to analyze your manuscript. It will give you optimized metadata in the form of title, subtitle, pricing, blurbs, BISAC categories, Amazon categories, keywords, series name, and as well as your book description. And so the great thing about this is, again, if you are not using PublishDrive to distribute your book, you can still use our metadata tool. Um, and the cover image generation, we also have a piece of the tool that if you choose to use it, you can generate a cover image. And this is what I want to say to those of you who are like, hey, I'm a cover designer, or I don't like AI covers. I fully support that. However, I am going to give you the example of Danica, the absolute worst person for a cover designer to work with, because my attitude towards cover design is I literally don't care what's on my cover. I really, I wish I could express the depth of I don't care. I'm not really a visual person, and so I want my cover to look nice and I want my cover to sell books. Those are the only two things I care about. And so when I have sat down with cover designers, I'm like, well, I don't care what it looks like as long as I sell books. Like, well, give me the cover that's going to sell the most books. If you're a cover designer, you know that is incredibly annoying and it makes me incredibly difficult to use, to work with. And so, what is great is I am more successful working with a cover designer when I come to them with some concepts and say, hey, these are some ideas I have. What do you think of them? And what our tool does is when you upload your book, it's going to look through your book, it's going to find the scenes that are compelling, the important things to do on your cover. But here's the great part, it is going to tell you the covers it's going to give you are going to be based on what is selling well on Amazon now. So let me give you an example of a series that I need to re put out. Um, I bought covers for this series. I will not tell you I will tell you, I spent thousands of dollars on this cover concept and then I got delayed in getting the series out. And I sat down with a book consultant who was looking at my covers and said, oh, you write women's fiction. I'm like, no, this is a romance series. And she was like, no, it's not. This is a women's fiction series cover. And I'm like, okay. And as she critiqued my cover, I was like, oh crap, she's right. Because immediately what I do is I look at the best-selling covers on Amazon and I'm like, crap, this is actually what's happened. I've just spent thousands of dollars on a series of covers for my books that do not match my genre and provide a misleading response to, I'm sorry, a misleading idea to readers about what my book is about and what to expect. Because this is all about managing expectations. Our book covers, our descriptions, all of the different pieces of what we're doing in marketing our books, it's all about reader expectations. And the whole adage, you shouldn't judge a book by its cover. The reality is, when people are browsing Amazon or Apple or any of the other stores, or even in a bookstore, what they do is the first thing they see is the cover. And so if the cover isn't reflecting the genre, if the cover doesn't appear to be professional, um, then what ends up happening is readers going to just walk right by your book. If your book is a vampire book and it doesn't say vampires in the description, people are just going to like go on to the next book because they don't know what your book is about. And so it's so important that if you're writing a vampire book, you want the description to talk about the vampires and to have that compelling vampire story that's going to make a person pick up your book. It needs to have the right price, the right keywords, the right even good titles and subtitles and series names, so readers know what to expect. And then they're going to look at your book cover. And again, what does that cover convey? My covers are all about conveying that story for a reader. And so in the example that I just gave of my books that I wanted a romance cover versus it ended up being a women's fiction cover, that makes a huge difference because a woman's fiction reader is going to pick up that book and they're going to read it and they're going to be disappointed because they thought they were getting women's fiction and they were being given this romance. Um, and that's like a very subtle difference, but I see this all of the time when I consult with authors because I do some consulting with authors and I help them figure out like marketing and things like that. Again, I've been doing this a long time, and I would say at least 75% of the time when somebody comes to me and says, why isn't my book selling? It is because their description needs to be optimized or something with their cover needs to be optimized. And so what this tool does is it looks at what's actually selling on Amazon, um, and it pulls those things out of your description and it gives you and separately, again, you can choose it to just do a description. You can use it to just do a cover, and separately, it's going to give you that feedback. Again, very, very important to note, um, because if you don't want to use one, you don't have to. Um, and again, if you don't use PublishDrive to distribute, you can still use these two things. So, like I said, even if you're like, I'm not going to use an AI cover, cool. Number one, you don't have to. But number two, if you're like me and you struggle with what to tell the cover designer, um, it's going to give you a bunch of different example covers and you can say, here are some examples. What do you think? And then the cover designer at least has an idea of what your vision is. And in my case, I can get something that's going to be more of a romance cover based on what's popular in romance right now. And I can then better tell my cover designer what I want as opposed to give me a pretty cover that's going to sell lots of books. So um, that is where the AI assistant is super helpful. Um, the other thing that we have is Abacus. Again, a separate product, separately payable. A lot of authors really like this for example, if you have a co-author or maybe you're splitting your royalties. One of the most common things for just authors to use is, let's pretend you have an anthology. I've been in several anthologies. In fact, the book I mentioned that just came out, it's actually a story in an anthology. And the headache of splitting royalties and deciding who gets what money is really a pain. I have not run the anthology myself, but one of my close friends has run several of the anthologies I was in. And the headache of her having to manually put everything into spreadsheets and manually split it. I will just tell you also, I am terrible at spreadsheets. And even though I think I know what I'm doing, there's always something wrong in my spreadsheet. And that that is something that's really hard for an author to have to manage, and it's very time consuming. So you can upload all of your sales reports right here. It'll split the royalties and you know exactly what you're paying your authors. And if you are using PublishDrive for distribution, you can pay your authors straight out of PublishDrive as opposed to having to get the money and then send everybody their money. That piece is only available if you use PublishDrive to distribute, because otherwise, we don't have any way of distributing the money. But again, very handy. And if you're a publisher, we have many publishers who use this where they can upload their sales data, or they use their sales data from PublishDrive. And again, using this for the royalty splitting, they know exactly how much money to send to each author and each person that they have to pay out of their program. So um, just another very cool tool. You can use it or not use it, but isn't it great to have that option? And again, have this all in one dashboard. And again, this is the usefulness of using PublishDrive for distribution, because rather than uploading reports from all of these different places and hoping you get the right reports, you're doing one report from one place, and you're not logging into multiple dashboards, which I completely love. Um, and so this is just a benefit of Abacus, LMBP, and publishing. They were saying before Abacus, we'd spend 20 to 25 hours per month calculating, checking, and distributing royalty information to authors. We anticipate cutting that time between 2 to 4 hours per month with Abacus. Like, isn't that an amazing time saver? Think about the amount of time that they've bought back for themselves to do that. And so with Abacus, we have multiple stores that you can add sales reports from. You can invite contributors so that they can view their royalty reports rather than saying, oh, yeah, here's the spreadsheet, trust me. They can log right into PublishDrive, look at the report, and see exactly what those numbers are, which I think as an author is also really important to be able to trust whoever is giving you that money. And so, like that contract management to make sure that you've got the correct payouts and tracking your payouts. Um, and there's ways to communicate with people within Abacus. And, as I mentioned, that transparent analytics. And so, like, we have the solution you need, whether that is global distribution, your royalty management, your AI assistant, your format converters. Um, and so, I do want to talk a little bit about pricing, because I haven't mentioned that. I know some of you are like, what is the price for all of this? So, the first thing I want to tell you is that for pricing, because we want people to try and love our products, everything, the first book in each of our systems is free. So, for example, with the metadata generator and the AI assistant, you will get the equivalent of free credits to use to do one book. So you get to try it out, no cost to you, really see if this is something that you like. Um, and so, what happens if you want to top up and you want to do more books? It is about $5 per book, whether that is to generate metadata or to generate a cover. And so, this to me is really great because, again, you don't have to use the AI cover, but what if you don't know which cover concept you want to use? How great would it be to say, hey, readers, I'm looking at two different cover concepts. I'm not sure which direction to send to my cover designer. What do you think? A or B? To generate that cover has cost you $5, as opposed to spending hours working with a cover designer and going back and forth. Now you've at least got options to share that are very low cost. Abacus, your first book loaded up to Abacus is going to be free. And your first, for distribution, your first ebook distribution is going to be free. It is for the first ebook only. And on the free plan, you don't get the same level of support and access to the sales events and things like that. So it is a bit lower in terms of what you're going to receive for free. But again, great way to try what works out for free. Um, we do have in-house customer support. For those of you who are on the higher level plans, we have a customer success manager that you can reach out to anytime who is going to help you. Um, as part of our tools. As I mentioned, we have the ebook converter and the POD converter. Those are both 100% free all the time. So if all you want to do is go on and convert an ebook, boom, you've got it. It's free, it's easy. The other tool I want to mention is we do have a business model calculator. If you are wondering, well, is it cheaper for me to go to PublishDrive, or maybe it is cheaper for me because I don't have big sales. Maybe it is cheaper for me to go to someone who's going to take a percentage. Pop those numbers in the business model calculator and we'll tell you. Like I said, we just got back from Author Nation, and we were talking to one author that their business, if they moved their books to PublishDrive, it would save them $12,000 a year. And that's something, I do have a sales manager. He'd be happy to run those numbers with you. But if not, we can just help you with that business model calculator. And you can go straight to the website and calculate that yourself for free. Um, and just more final things to share. We do have the in-house support, a customer success manager for the higher level users. We do have a Facebook group. It's not very active, but if you are interested in joining that, feel free to scan that QR code. And the other thing, as we mentioned at the beginning, I co host the podcast called Brave New Bookshelf, and there's a QR code for that. But you can also listen to Brave New Bookshelf on any of your favorite podcast channels. We're really popular on Apple. And we also have a YouTube channel. I do like to tell people, if you are interested in the podcast, please go like and subscribe to us on YouTube, mostly because we're trying to build up our readership and viewership there. But we talk about everything having to do with AI in publishing. My personal stance on AI in publishing, that is really important to me, is that I do not believe, and I believe this about publishing in general, there is no one right way to do it. Everyone has their own journey. It is personal to them and what works for them. So you can choose not to use AI in your business. That is completely fine. I 100% support that. You can choose to use AI in all these other points of your business, and I support that as well. And what we do through our podcast is we educate people on various ways you can use AI, as well as various AI tools that might be beneficial to you. And so, really take what's important to you, take what matters to you, and what you need to thrive. Because, like I said in the beginning, like we started um, becoming authors because we love to write and we have stories we want to tell. We have things we want to share with our audience. And the business side isn't something that we always want to do. And that wasn't the desire of getting into the publishing business. As someone who coaches authors in the publishing community a lot, I also have my own coach that I talk to. And, we were just talking about that today, of being in your zone of genius. And my zone of genius is not doing the business of publishing. My zone of genius is communicating about publishing, writing, communicating ideas, sharing ideas with people. And the more I can get the business and the admin stuff off my plate and onto other areas, the more I have time to spend in that zone of genius and where I'm successful. And for those of you who are familiar with Becca Syme and her Strengths for Writers, that's one of the things she talks about a lot, is this idea of working in your strengths. Do the things you love to do and that you're good at doing, and find ways to offload the rest. And that's something that we're really passionate about PublishDrive. Um, we want to help you find ways to have that creative time. You can diversify your income streams. Um, what we have noticed from our data is 60% of sales come from Amazon, 40% come from the rest of the stores that PublishDrive distributes. And so, like, how do you maximize your sales? How do you maximize your reach? Well, one of those ways is to get your books out to more stores, to use the price promotions that we have, the sales promotions. Um, our publishing assistant helps you improve your metadata and gives you cover ideas that maybe you weren't thinking of. all of these little ways and things that you can tweak your publishing business to be more successful. Uh, when I was at Author Nation, people were asking me about the different global areas and other markets. For whatever reason, a lot of people are particularly interested in publishing in Poland right now, and they're getting their books translated to Polish. And we have a store, Empik, which can get your books to Poland. And so, if that's a region you're looking at, we can help you get there. Um, and just a few more quotes from some authors who have benefited from PublishDrive. And really, again, just talking about getting your books to a wider audience and growing your author brand so that you can get your books into the largest audience possible. And so finally, this is the QR code to get you directly to the offer page for PublishDrive and get 20% off of our distribution. Um, but also, even if you don't have this slide or you don't want to grab this QR code right now, it is always on the main page of the sponsors for the Women in Publishing Summit for you to be able to take advantage of that offer anytime. So even if this is not a right now decision for you, this is available for you throughout the whole year. So really happy to share all of that with you. I know that was a fire hose of information. So please feel free to ask questions. I know there's a bunch in here.
Great, you did wonderfully, Danica. Thank you so much for answering all of the questions they already had, but a bunch more came in. So, someone did ask really quickly before I forget, what is an average amount of credits if someone was going to do Publish Assistant and Abacus for one book?
Um, so like if you were just doing one book, you could do one book for free on Abacus as well as one book for free on the Publishing Assistant. So like you could use that same book for free on both of them.
Awesome. Okay, let me just get these questions out to you. I have you spotlighted, so I think you can only see me, but that's fine. Or see you. We just
Okay,
want to see you.
perfect,
We don't need to
perfect,
see me.
perfect.
That's fine. Okay. Nadia is asking, what is the data on sales for the children's genre? Format would be paper book, not ebook.
I don't have that data offhand, but children's does not necessarily, it's not one of our higher performing genres. I do know that answer, but if you do want to reach out to me, feel free to email me at danica@publishdrive.com and I
Okay.
can um, see if I can get that data for you. Sometimes it's easy data to pull, sometimes it's not, but I do know it's a highly requested genre, but doesn't always perform as well.
Right. That makes sense. But it's good to know going in what
Yeah,
genres
it
are,
is.
yeah,
And I've talked to a lot of children's authors and children's books for some of the different people. They just don't do as well. Children's book sales. And I found this out at Author Nation too. And it's discouraging, but I hope it's encouraging, is that for a lot of people, they're finding their sales are a lot lower
mm,
than they typically have seen in the past. Um, and
yeah,
we could speculate as to a million different reasons. But what I would say is if that is the case for you, then definitely go and um, take a look at some of the sales promotions. I don't know if we have any specific to children's, but see where you can take advantage of those different promotions. And um, again, it's worth taking a look at, is your description, is your metadata, are they on point?
right. That is very helpful to keep an eye on that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Sounds
yeah.
like PublishDrive does a good job of understanding how the metadata works and everything. So that's good advice. Janet's asking, does PublishDrive provide the ISBN and barcodes? And if so, who owns the rights, if that's the case?
Okay. First of all, you always own your rights. We do not take anybody's rights. That's really something that is important to us. So we do not ever own your rights to your books. You always own your rights. As for ISBNs and barcodes, we do not provide those. Um, Many stores do not require them. So, if it is a store that requires them, there are ways we can work with you on that. But a lot of stores these days do not require you to have an ISBN. But what I will say is if you use PublishDrive and you use the identifier number that we give you, and this is, by the way, this is also true if you go to any store that provides you with an ISBN. So even if where you're using our identifier, or if we were to provide an ISBN, this is true for any store that says, oh, we have free ISBNs. If you leave that distributor, you will have to go and get a new ISBN for it, because the ISBN is actually owned by whichever distributor you're using. And that's just how ISBNs work.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's really valuable information because a lot of authors, I think they feel like the first step is always to have that ISBN and then they can't move forward after that. So
Right, exactly. And the other thing too is, let's just say you come in and you own your ISBN, and you've brought in your own ISBN, because I do have all of my own ISBNs. Um, I that ISBN goes with me. And so if I move to a different platform or a different service, that's still my ISBN.
okay. Let's just move on here. Mark NDD is asking, do you provide the ISBN? Sorry, you just answered that. Do you
Yeah.
offer a language translation such as German or Spanish for distribution in those countries? Is an add-on question there.
So we do not offer translations. However, we are working with a partnership with a company that does AI translations. More on that to come, but you would be able to work with them at a discount. We don't have that deal finalized yet, so I don't want to say too much about that, but I can certainly recommend people who can do that through AI.
Perfect. Okay, let's go to Janet's question next. I know what I want my cover to look like. Can I request specifics to the cover image creator?
Yes, you can. Funny story. I was working with an author on this a while back, because she has a specific vision of what she wants her cover to look like. And you can go in and change some of the prompt and tell it what you want. So, yes, you can do that. I will say the more specific you get, sometimes it struggles to get there. Um, but also the thing to keep in mind is it does eat up credits, because that's how AI works. No matter what AI you're using, it uses credits. And so what ends up happening is like it will eat up more credits. And so I said $5, it might end up costing you up to like $10, because you've used so many credits to get those multiple generations to get exactly what you want.
Good to know. Thanks so much. Okay, Barbara Hanson Clark is asking, she's a two-part question. She says, can I use your service in addition to another distribution service, even if there is overlap? And note, they don't require exclusivity, but receive 15% from what I sell. That's the first part. So I don't know if you want to handle that, and then
Yeah.
I'll give you the second part.
Yeah. So the honest answer is yes. We have a lot of customers who use our tool, our distribution, in addition to their distributing with other people. And again, we don't require exclusivity, so we don't care. Um, I personally think, if you're going to use us, you might as well have everything with us, because it's easier. The other thing I didn't mention that I do want to mention is, some of you may have heard the news that even if you're in KU, Amazon will now allow you to distribute to libraries. And we have a lot of libraries that we distribute to. And so if you are in that situation of being in KU and you just want to use PublishDrive to distribute to libraries, um, that is actually a separate conversation, but we do that and we create special pricing for that. So if that is the case, I'm going to give you the email address of my colleague, Matthew, at sales@publishdrive.com. His address, sales@publishdrive.com. He will create a special plan for you to just distribute to libraries. and it is a much lower deal than you'll get anywhere. It's also cheaper than using the Women in Publishing Summit code. It's just something we're offering because we know that libraries take a while to get traction in. So we want to make that as affordable for people as possible.
That's awesome. Thanks. And if you want to throw that email address in the chat, that would,
Yeah, yeah,
I
let me
didn't
do
get,
that.
I didn't quite get it the
Yeah,
first
no
time. Sorry.
worries.
And I've been putting the link for your deal
Oh, perfect.
in there also, and the link for your website has been put in the chat a couple of times. So people want to connect through there. That can be helpful. Okay, perfect. The second part of Barbara's question is, I'm getting a hardcover format ready. If you were my sole distributor, do you update the Amazon page to make the hardcover available? And what else would you do with all the other distribution channels to get this up and going?
So currently we do not provide hardcover. So we would not be able to help you with that. We keep saying we're hoping to
Right,
get
right,
hardcover, but we just don't quite have that yet.
right. And it's a lot, getting all that stuff in.
It
It's good
is,
to
it
just
is,
start
it
with the
is. So
with the
so
basics.
yeah, definitely I wish you the best on that.
Okay. Thank you for answering that. Mark and Dee Dee are asking, they didn't understand fully the $5 charge. Is that for every book sale you take $5, or are they misunderstanding? Just, if you want to
Oh,
walk through
yeah,
that.
yeah, you're just misunderstanding.
Yeah.
So the $5 charge was just the example of what the AI assistant would be costing you. And that's just an example of what it would cost you. So distribution, there are different levels of distribution plans, and those are going to be different charges.
Good to know. Perfect. Can PublishDrive convert a book file from reader view to single page format? I don't know if that's a question that you can answer them, but
That is a more technical question that I actually don't know the answer to. Um, what I would say is, um, if that's something that you need help with, that sales at PublishDrive email that I put in the chat, um, email Matthew and ask him. I will say Matthew is on vacation right now, so he may take a while to get back to you, but yeah, but I would ask him that question because I know he works extensively with some of our publishers on exact file conversions that need to happen.
okay, perfect. We've got another question coming in from Janet asking, what is a typical time frame for print on demand from customer order to delivery? Do you ship directly to the customer?
So we actually do it. We are not the direct provider, so it's print on demand stores. So for example, Ingram, Amazon, etc. Um, when they order the print book through one of those partner stores, it would be shipped by that partner store. So we don't do any of that printing and shipping.
Okay, good to know. Someone just threw one in the chat, so let's look. Kat's asking, did you talk about what your base cost is for printing book if changes if you change things, the more they're published? I think that's what you're asking. Otherwise, can clarify, Kat. That
Yeah, again, like the printing cost is going to be set by like whichever store, whether that's Amazon or Ingram or one of the other providers and what they're selling for in the store. So you can do that whatever you want. So for example, let's just say you're doing print on demand through Amazon, and so somebody buys that book, the printing cost is going to be whatever that charge is. And if you have specific questions on printing for your book, and what those costs are, that's something that you can find out within the platform. And again, talking to Matthew because he's got all of those calculations there. Um,
Okay, perfect. I'm going to put the link for PublishDrive's deal for the summit in the chat one more time. If anybody had any questions, we have a couple more minutes to field them. Otherwise, if you wanted to share anything else with our audience, Danica, about PublishDrive or anything that you want anyone to know about the deal or everything coming up for the summit, feel free to share.
yeah, yeah. Like I said, I'm really excited to be here. I do try to make some of the networking coffee chats, so feel free
Awesome.
chat with me there. And you're welcome to reach out to me at any time. Happy to talk. Um, I can put my email in the chat as well.
Awesome.
So I will put my email in the chat. Um, like I said, I mean, as you know, some of you were asking some of the technical questions, or like how much this costs, or how to do the conversion or whatnot. That's something I would just forward to Matthew. So if it is a pricing question or something like that, please just email him, um, because like I have to ask him is the honest answer.
Right. And that's
Um,
great because we can actually we'll send out any information anybody wants and allow people to get in touch with you potentially through the
yeah,
replay email, and people watching the replay, make sure you get in touch with Matthew and Danica with any questions that you have, because it's the best way to learn out about what PublishDrive does and how they can help you as an author. But people are so happy about the presentation. Larissa's saying what a big, rich presentation, so much to process, but thank you so much. And we're so happy to have everyone, and we're so happy to have you here, Danica.
yeah, thank you, thank you. And yeah, I know it is a huge lot of information. As I sit here and I put this together, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a fire hose. And I know there was so much information on the slides. So I'm glad you provide the slides to
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
If you are looking through this and you're like, okay, wait, I don't understand this or how that works, please do reach out. Like it's not like I'm really happy to chat with people about publishing, or your publishing questions and things like that. Like I am one of you. Like I get
Right.
it. I get it. And I really want to bring as much benefit to other authors as I can.
That's so awesome. It's really great to know you have another author in your corner. When as authors, you just always feel like we're just figuring things out as we go along. So it seems like PublishDrive is so comprehensive in everything that it offers. So I'm really excited that you're part of everything. You're part of the bigger picture. Thank you again so much for coming and for sponsoring this year. And we're looking forward to seeing you at the coffee chats at the summit.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. It was great to be here.
Awesome. We'll see everybody soon.
All
Bye-bye.
right, bye.